3, 2, 1, go. Welcome everybody to Geekvice episode 250, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. My name's Morph. That man's Kip. Good evening, Kip. I know, it's crazy. We're a quarter away to 1,000. I mean, I never thought we would get to 250 when we started this thing, so I just call it impressive across the board. So, yeah, it's still surreal every time I go and type in show notes or type in the notes for the video, and I type in the episode number. I'm just like, what the hell are we doing? Yeah, yeah. It is crazy. It is crazy, but it's been fun. We've met a lot of cool people. So, and on that note, we joined a really cool podcast network, the Podcast Arcade. So you will see their logo if you're looking at watching the video. It's up there above Kip's head. But yeah, right in that area. But yeah, go check out their stuff. Go check out the podcastarcade.com. It's the podcastarcade.com. And go check out the other videos like Underground and Daydream Instruction Manual and Mega and Paranormal Dads, and I'm gonna forget some of them because there's so many of them out there. That's right, Falcon Punch Thunder Dads. Yeah, yeah, especially with the way like Justin going out and doing these like crazy runs. Like I saw him post something on, I can't remember if it was Twitter or Facebook. Like he's like, "Oh, this looks like cool. I want to do more like 24-hour runs." Like, dude, you are nuts, nuts. Yeah, yeah. I need to like, right. Yeah, I need to hook him up with a friend of mine that I do some stuff here in town with. He's into running ultra marathons, which are like 100 miles. So yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. No thanks. Yeah, no. I run a 5K twice a year with a bunch of third and fourth graders. That is the most running that I do. Um, yeah, I don't really do a whole lot of that. So I probably should. I wouldn't be a fat bastard if I did something, but hey. Right? And I actually thought about having a beer, but then I had ice cream right before I came on, so I decided, yeah, maybe don't need an ice cream and a beer tonight. But anyway, back to the show at hand. We got some movies that we're gonna talk about here, but before we get into talking about some movie news, let's get some announcements out of the way. Couple of things that I want to throw out there. Actually, let's go with three things. One, go check out the YouTube channel. Go watch some Geekvice gaming videos. Those are going live twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays. New episodes. Uh, just pumping them out. pumping them out. I've got more of them that I'm editing now to go out. So I'm going to keep those going for a while. And got big plans, or more plans. I don't want to say big plans. Have more plans for that, for the channel and the Geekvice gaming stuff, to try to keep that going. I'm having fun doing it, and I'm getting better at video editing, and I just realized that I think you have been muted on the stream so nobody could hear you.
Great.
You're going to be recorded in the podcast. The podcast will be fine. It's just the audio. It's just the video stuff. So, hey.
Well, it's for all those people who are watching on YouTube, that was the funniest I ever was.
That's right. We were all cracking up.
Yeah. Too bad you missed it. You just missed it. It was epic.
This is why I shouldn't be running things tonight. It has been a long week since we last recorded. The other news that we want to throw out there: Prolific Games expansion for Flapjacks and Sasquatches called the Company Store. The Kickstarter is going to launch March 19th. There's an event for it on Facebook. You can just search for Flapjacks and Sasquatches on Facebook, or you can go to Geekvice on Facebook. Go
Facebook.
Man, this is hard. Go to Geekvice on Facebook, scroll through our feed. You will see it there. When it goes live, we will put it up there. I would really like to see how close we can get this thing to funded within the first 24 hours. Like, can we just knock the socks off of this and get so many people to back it that we...
That way John and Bill can get a good night's sleep for that entire month instead of just constantly checking.
Because those guys have come on and told us before how they were just like they're constantly checking. Oh, there's another one. There's another one. And they get so much anxiety over there. I know that there's been a couple of them that have gone pretty they've gone to like the last week before they funded, and so it would be nice to give these guys a good break and just get this funded early. Let's try to do it. I'd love to see them do it in 24 hours. That would be amazing. Especially with some of the backer stuff they're going to have. Like these, man, I can't wait to see what level the boxes are going to be at. Those custom made, like etched boxes, wooden boxes to hold all the expansion packs. I want to see what that's at and what tier that's going to be at, because I might try to convince my wife that we need that.
You do need that.
I mean, come on. It looks so cool. If you haven't seen the pictures for it, you've got to go check it out. It is so cool looking. Oh,
absolutely.
Man.
Yeah, I want that thing, so I'm pushing for it. If they get funded in the first 24 hours, we'll just take credit for that.
Absolutely. I mean, why wouldn't
because of Geekvice this happened.
I really am still hoping that we can get, like, those sometimes on the back of the boxes they'll put like reviews from other people. I want to be able to put a review from Geekvice, just like, this is a badass game from some badass mofos or something. Just give me some. They could even make it up for me. I don't even care. I just want my name on the back of it.
I understand that.
How
we
cool
gotta come up with like a bland review. Yeah, you watch the IT Crowd, right? Have you watched the IT Crowd?
Yeah.
They go to that musical and the reviews are not as long as most musicals and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, we need to come up with something like that.
This is a game that has cards.
They spelled Flapjacks correctly.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. I'm assuming there. Maybe it doesn't happen.
Who knows? I'm really excited for this wooden nickel idea. Like I'm really excited for collecting wooden nickels. I've never been so excited to be paid in wooden nickels before. So.
Well, what's funny about the thing is you think about it, and it's like, what can you actually add to that game? But they figured it out. So I'm pretty pumped about getting my grubby little hands on it.
Some of the cards that they've put out on Facebook and Twitter that they've sneak peeked out there, They look really cool. Like the last one, the one I saw today was um oh, what was it called? I can't remember what it was called, but uh basically you gave that to another person and half of their dice roll, their chopping rolls went to you. And
Oh
I'm like,
yeah, I know what
oh,
you're talking
oh,
about.
that's gonna be brutal. Like I can't wait to play that card on somebody. Like yes, go ahead, Mister. You have a titanium axe. I will take half those chops, please. So
Thank you
yeah,
for using your chainsaw.
right. Um, so yeah, be sure to check that out. March 19th. Watch our Facebook page. Watch our Twitter. Follow Prolific Games, and you will see when these things go, when this Kickstarter goes live, and we'll try to see. Let's look. March 19th is, what day is that? That is a, oh, hey, guess what? That's a Tuesday. So we will be recording, and we will make sure that everybody is aware of it while we're recording. So, mm-hmm.
Exactly, and I will actually not be traveling for work, so I will be able to jump right on in the first 24 hours
Yeah,
and give them my money.
that's right. I'll be doing it that night before we get on because my wife even told me, because she's never backed anything on Kickstarter, and when I told her this expansion was coming out, she was really excited. And I'm like, well, it's on Kickstarter, so we have to back it first, and then we'll have to wait for it to come out. And she's like, well, how does that? So I explained Kickstarter to her, and she's like, oh, okay, well, like we need to do that. And I'm like, okay, well, the Kickstarter launches, I'll sit down with you. We'll go through and pick out what level we want, what extra stuff we want to get, and I'll get her input on it. So I'm kind of excited to see what she lets us spend for that. Then I don't have to hide the expense from her. I mean, I don't do that. So,
Well, it's kind of, I take my dad's tact on all that stuff, and that was, if he went out and bought a new tool, he does a
mhm.
lot of woodworking. He'll put it in the garage, throw a bunch of sawdust on it, and then when mom sees it, it's like, oh, I've had it for a long time.
Right? Yeah. Well, I kind of go with the fact of like I'll back some of these board games and things like that, like the company store or any of Prolific Games other games, and I mainly use it for I'm getting this for the family. We're all gonna play it. You really enjoyed Flapjacks and Sasquatches, so I obviously need to get the first, the expansion for it. I mean,
Obviously.
obviously. So, yeah, and the same thing. Like, you really liked Flapjacks and Sasquatches. I think you'd really like Witch Slap too. So, like, Witch Slap. you know,
Just in case.
right.
Because I love you, babe.
That's right. It's all for you. It's all for the family. The family. And to help out Prolific Games. But, because they're good dudes. The other announcement is if anyone has followed us for the last 5 years, they will know that one of my favorite breweries in the Kansas City area is Red Crow Brewery. That used to be down in Spring Hill. They are opening their new location. The Spring Hill location closed. Uh, I think I think it's almost been like a year and a half or 2 years ago. It's been a while that they've been
Dang.
homeless, and they will now have a new home, and they have announced that they are opening the new location on March of this year, so sometime this month. And if you're listening to this in the future, hello future people, it's open. um, the But yeah, it's supposed to open sometime this month. Really excited for it. The new location is at in the Kansas City area at 135th and K7. You won't be able to miss it because it's the end of a strip mall, like a big area. So really excited to see what they're gonna how they've turned this tire store with big garage doors into a nice, fun, open atmosphere brewery and tap room. So they're again not gonna have they don't sell food there, but they have food trucks. They're still gonna have the food trucks come out. So I'm excited to see their new setup and how they're gonna get it going. The pictures that they put up on Facebook look great. So I'm excited for them to be open back up and getting back out there to drink some good beer and play some board games. So
I can't think of two better activities.
yeah, and it's really
Well, I
kind of
can think of one, but we can't talk about that on this show.
family show, family show. I don't know, and I don't know anyone who's ever said this is a family show, but whatever. I do know some kids that listen to it, so we'll keep it PG-13.
And that's difficult for me.
Yeah. Well, and that's the so speaking of PG-13, we watched we watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 over this last weekend. And because I don't remember, Conley, my littlest one, was off doing something. Like he didn't want anything to do with people. He just wanted to go watch some really bad cartoons, kids cartoons, little kids cartoons. And I like, that's fine. And Reese is like, "Oh, I kind of want to watch a movie." I'm like, "Well, you want to watch another Marvel movie?" He's like, "Yeah." And Amber's like, "Well, why don't we watch Infinity War?" And Reese is like, "I don't want to watch that yet." Like, "Well, why not?" He's like, "Because we haven't made it that far in the order." And I'm like, "All right, well, let's see what's next on the order." And it just happened to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So we watched that, and there were a couple points in there where Amber looks at me, she goes, "Is this appropriate for him?" I'm like, "You've seen it." She's like, "I don't remember. Is it appropriate for him?" And I'm like, "It's fine." She's like, "It's PG-13, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "This doesn't look PG-13. I'm like, "Just wait." And then all of a sudden, like, it was when, I think it was it Kurt Russell? It was Kurt Russell is the beginning when Star-Lord's mom and dad were, in the woods or whatever. And um, there's some scene like that, and she's like, "What? No!" Like it's starting to be a sex scene, and it's like, "No, it's PG-13. Watch, it'll stop right here, just enough to get." Yep, looks like it's gonna happen, and then nope, fade to black. So I was like, "Yeah." The scene where Yondu's whistling and his arrow is just going through everybody after and she just kind of looks at me. I'm like, "There's no blood." She's like, "Whatever." Like,
Yeah, that
it,
sounds right.
it's Marvel's PG-13 pushing the envelope. Hey, I'm okay with it. He really enjoyed it. He had a lot of fun with this one. He's now watched both of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and I think trying to think. I think Ant-Man might be coming up next, or Ultron. I think Avengers: Age of Ultron might be coming up next. I don't remember, but yeah. So he doesn't want to watch Infinity War. He wants to still get through them. So my goal here is, since Endgame comes out, what, May, right? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah.
So by May, I need to get through all of the movies so that I can take him to go see Endgame. So we're gonna have to. I think this weekend we might be watching another Marvel movie. Nobody knows this yet, but I'm gonna try to get through all of these.
Well, they'll have to listen to the show to know what's coming up.
Yeah, right. So all right, on to the show. Before we get into the other movie that I watched this weekend, let's talk about a little bit of the news from the Marvel Universe.
Let's do that.
From the MCU over this I can't remember if it was this last weekend, or I think it was this last weekend. There was a lot of hubbub about critics saying that Marvel was canceling, they're gonna end the MCU. It's gonna end with Endgame. They're done, and a lot of people were just going nuts. And it's not true. They're not ending the MCU. You still have Captain Marvel coming out. They still have Doctor Strange 2 that they have in the works, but they don't have a date for it yet. They've still got the Spider-Man Far From Home coming up, Avengers Endgame. They've said they're making a Black Panther 2, but they don't have a date yet. So they have a lot of stuff that they said they're going to be making, but they don't have dates to them yet, which is very different from previous years. I mean, at one point, a couple years ago, I guess now 3 years ago, 2016-ish, they came out with the whole, like, hey, here is our full run. I guess it was about 2015 where they said, okay, we're going to do Captain America Civil War, we're going to do Doctor Strange, we're going to do Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 2, we got Spider-Man Homecoming, and they just lined out, like, here they are. Bam, 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 bam. They had a whole timeline. These are when all these are going to come out. Well, now they're running to the point where they are not telling us when or what is coming out. They have announced that obviously Captain Marvel comes out next week. We know that Avengers Endgame is in May, and Spider-Man Far From Home comes out July 5th. So we know those. But
Right.
after...
It makes me wonder, since they know what they're doing, but they don't have anything going on, if that's because they got some recasting going on. We'll find out more in Endgame who's going to need to be replaced,
Right?
I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if that's what it is
I,
they can't really give away
right.
Endgame totally.
And I think you're right. I think you are right. So they have untitled films. They have 2 scheduled for 2020. They've got 3 scheduled for 2021 and 3 in 2022. So over the last few years, well, starting about 2016, they were going about 3 movies a year, and that was about the Phase 3 time frame. They started going 3 movies a year, which they're gonna match again in 2019 with Spider-Man Far From Home, Captain Marvel, and Avengers Endgame. There's your 3 movies in 2019. And we just don't know what's coming up. And I think you're right. I think the idea is that they don't want to reveal anything. They don't want to say, hey, this is going to come out, because it's going to throw off Endgame. It'll throw off some of the suspense and drama from Endgame. Kind of the same idea, like where what was it, when Spider-Man disappeared in Infinity War? Oh, sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen the movie that came out, last year. Um,
Yeah, we
when
can't help you if you
when
haven't seen it.
Spider-Man disappeared and Black Panther disappeared and uh, was it Doctor Strange disappeared as well? And all 3 of
Did
the was it? I think it was Doctor Strange that is one of them that disappeared. There were ones that had disappeared that Marvel had already come out and said, yeah, there's going to be a second one of these. There's going to be another. We knew Spider-Man Far From Home. We didn't know what it was going to be, but we knew there was going to be another Spider-Man movie. Now, that could technically, I guess, take place before Infinity War. Maybe. I don't know what the time
could.
frame is for that. But, like, so we know these movies are coming out. So them disappearing in Infinity War was, to me, left it a little anticlimactic. Those characters are coming back in some way, because they're not going to do all 3 of those movies. They're not going to do all the extra movies taking place before an Infinity War. They're not going to try to shove them all in there. That Marvel has planned this too well to 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 do that. So I think some of this is, I think there's 2 reasons. One, I think they're starting to see the oversaturation with superhero movies, and Marvel is going to kind of pump the brakes a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe put out, uh, you know, this says there's going to be 2 movies in 2020. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe one of them is summer of 2020 and the other one is maybe like winter 2020.
Yeah, it could be. Could be a good time for a December release.
Yeah, just kind of. pump the brakes a little bit. Give us a little bit of time to digest in-game, digest Far From Home. Let us, let the fans kind of relax a little bit and allow the hype machine to pump back up for the next thing that they want to do.
Plus, I'm gonna have to reconcile my feels after Endgame. I have a feeling.
Yeah. I mean, I think Infinity War hit some people pretty hard, and I think that might have actually hurt some of the numbers for Ant-Man and the Wasp, because the Infinity War hangover idea, and I think Endgame is going to I honestly think I have fully believed them to kill characters off in Endgame. They're either going to kill them off or they're going to walk away from being superheroes altogether. Whether that means they lose their abilities and are gone, or they just flat out throw their hands up and say, I quit. We already know that Captain America's not doing any more movies, so they're gonna have to do something with that. But I expect some finality to Endgame that's gonna come out of it, and I think that's going to push some buttons for people, and I think Marvel is smart in taking just pumping the brakes a little bit. They're not done. They're not quitting. They're just pumping the brakes.
Which is fine, because if it's a reboot, this incarnation was a slow ramp up before things really,
Mm-hmm.
the Iron Man, Thor, and all those. It took a while to get, a few movies in the can, and it could be the same kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Who knows? They didn't call and tell me what they were doing, bastards.
Right. Yeah. We're all just speculating, and there's been rumors. I mean, Kevin Feige has made comments about wanting to do something like Eternals, which is that's a team of superheroes, kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy type thing, to where maybe they do another ensemble. They could even do some stuff like Thunderbolts, or there's lots of teams within the Marvel universe that they could do that could take some characters that people already know and some that they don't, or just even like Eternals, those haven't been in any of the movies. They could just take and throw those out there, and there's
Yeah.
lots of stories and stuff they can do that just puts them like on the other side of the galaxy or whatever.
This is true. I mean, it's almost inexhaustible the number of options they could take, because the breadth of the comic book world.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking about the actual physical comic book world, not the worlds that take place inside the comic books. So
Right.
There's a lot to choose from, and hopefully this isn't the end of the superhero stuff, because well done superhero movie is just a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
And I would hate to think that we're watching the last of them.
Yeah. And I don't think these movies make too much money for them to stop making them. They're, these movies have been too well received for them to decide, hey, we're done. No more.
Yeah.
So don't worry, people. There'll be more Marvel movies. We just might not have heard of the character that they're going to use. And honestly, there's still a possibility that they could take back Fantastic Four and X-Men and come up with something altogether for those. So,
Man, wouldn't it be great to have a good Fantastic Four movie?
I would love to see one of those. I don't know that you could do one, but not in
Well, the
this day and
last
age.
one,
But
I'd say half the movie was really good, and then the last half was just terrible.
yeah,
It's like, well, we're watching the first half of this, like, this is actually a good movie. I'm actually enjoying this. And then Doctor Doom showed up. You're like, well, that's over.
yeah, yeah, it would be great if they could pull one of those off. I'd
Yeah.
love to see it.
Me too.
So the other movie, I had made the comment this last weekend that we watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Um, on Friday, my wife had a school PTA board meeting here at the house, and so me and the kids had to get away. Well, we didn't really like leave the house. We just locked ourselves in the basement, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is out digitally. So we we loaded that sucker up and watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and I have to say, this movie was awesome. It was really good. Now, it's not groundbreaking. It's not. I would not say that the story is not without its tropes and holes, as any superhero movie can be. But the animation style I thought was really good. I really enjoyed the animation style. Sometimes I feel like the animation kind of detracts from the movie. This, uh, this one didn't. It fit really well. And um, and honestly, I read the Into the Spider-Verse comic book series back when that came out. That was quite a while ago. Um, I want to say maybe 2014, 2013, something like that. I don't even remember. It was a long time ago, and that was really good. I really enjoyed that idea that I enjoyed the parallel universes with lots of different Spider-Men depending on what happened in that world. So
So
and
was there a
this
Spider Pig?
there was
Okay.
Spider Ham, and he was kind of
Spider Ham.
yeah, he was a kind of a cartoony, like, I mean, it's an animated thing, but the idea is that he's a cartoon. Like, he's kind of that, I don't know, like Porky Pig. He even makes references to Porky Pig. That was really funny. He, like, at one point, he's fighting with, like, a giant, he just, like, out of his back pocket pulls out a big wooden hammer, like mallet, and hits
Yeah.
somebody over the head
Totally
with it.
Looney Tunes.
Yeah, total Looney Tune style. Like, I thought that was great. I loved it. Um, some of the other characters, one of my favorites that they actually put in here was in the comic book, she went by Spider Gwen. It was Gwen Stacy becoming Spider Man, and so she was kind of the Spider Woman. But um, and she was a dancer and very like acrobatic, and so they did a really good job with her. She was one of my favorites in the comic books. They also did a in this movie, which also was in the comic books, was Spider Noir, which is kind of like the Shadow, but a Spider-Man. So,
Okay.
you know, a 1930s detective type thing. And the way they introduced these characters, well, not even introduced, but the way they told about these characters was great in the movie. I thought it was awesome and really well done. They gave you, you know, it was great because they gave you kind of the narration, like over what you were watching of how they became Spider-Man. It was like, oh yeah, I was, you know, it was 1930s and I was a detective and I got bit by a radioactive spider and like, you know, it was, but it was all they were all almost identical to an extent, and it was really great. They all had their own abilities, their own things that they were really good at, and they really caught me. Like, I had seen the trailers for this, and I had seen really good reviews on this, and but they really still caught me off guard a little bit with um, how they introduced the Peter Parker that you see in the trailers. So you see this deadbeat Peter Parker in the trailers, like just stubbly beard, wearing sweatpants, like kind of chubby, like not a fit person. And the way that guy got brought into it, and the way they told his story I thought was really good. And I really enjoyed it. Like, it was kind of that whole different take on what if, Spider-Man's life didn't turn out all great and roses, you know, what happens to him? And this was kind of that take on it. I love the idea that there's all these different Spider-Men out there, and they all got to come in together. Um, I will not ruin any of the little twists and turns. Uh, Miles Morales is an amazing Spider-Man. He is the Spider-Man of this universe, and he came out of the comic books in the the Ultimate Comics version, which was Marvel's like alternate reality, and he has completely different powers from what your typical Spider-Man, what you know Spider-Man to have. He doesn't shoot webs, but he can turn invisible and kind of camouflage, and he has a kind of a spider sting, that allows
Hmm.
him to kind of shock people a little bit. And then, of course, he's got the agility and strength, and can climb on walls. Those normal stuff. But it was kind of cool to see the way they had each one of these characters, each one of these Spider-Mans was something special that they could do, and the way they merged together. But Miles, um, the story, the background of Miles Morales is one that I really want more in the movie. I want them to do more with this character, for a couple reasons. One, Miles Morales' parents are still alive. This isn't one where, Peter Parker, we've never known his parents. They've never been around. It's always been Aunt May and Uncle Ben that raised him, and then Uncle Ben died, and that's Spider-Man. Well, Miles Morales isn't like that. His family's still alive. He goes to a private school instead of, a public high school. He's kind of um, goes to a private school but doesn't want to be in a private school. He's like, he's really smart, really educated, and his parents have got him into this school. But in this movie and in the comic books, he didn't really want to be there. Private school where he lived in a dorm with a roommate, even. So he's having to deal with, hey, I'm Spider-Man and I've got a roommate. So it just adds that more storytelling aspects and that more drama, that with his parents still being alive and living with a roommate with bunk beds, type thing. It that adds more to the story, which I really like. Um, so the kind of the story behind this a little bit, through this movie, the story behind this movie is that you're in a world where Spider-Man has saved everything he possibly can, except he ends up getting killed trying to stop the Kingpin, Green Goblin, a new enemy called the Prowler, um, from using a particle accelerator to connect alternate universes, to connect parallel universes, to try to find. You don't even know why at the beginning. They're just doing this trying to bring parallel universes together, and that's where these other Spider-Man come from. They get sucked in, and the Spider-Man of this world ends up dying with without like in the process of stopping this thing. And Miles Morales has just gotten his powers but doesn't know how to use them, and ends up being in the wrong place at the wrong time because he was tagging a subway, just graffitiing a subway area, and he Spider-Man makes him promise that he's going to fix this and stop Wilson Fisk. And Miles Morales, you know, is an upstanding person and says, you know, yeah, it's my fault you're dead because I was here and distracted you, and so yeah, I'll fix this. But he has no idea what he's doing, and so it's a fun story. It's really
I can't
good.
wait to see it.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. There's all kinds of different takes on anything. The one thing I would recommend is go into this movie not thinking Spider-Man like what you've seen every other time.
Okay.
This is different. This is completely different. You have um, you have a Doc Ock, but it's not the same Doc Ock. I'm not gonna spoil it because it's kind of a surprise when you find out who Doc Ock is in the movie. You've got Wilson Fisk, and he's the same kind of kingpin, but Scorpion's in this, not like a Scorpion you're used to seeing. Um, Green Goblin is in it, but he's not the same Green Goblin. And then on top of that, um, you throw in the new bad guy Prowler, and his backstory is really great and connects things together really well. Uh, Again, I don't want to spoil it because it's really good.
Sounds
So
like they really packed a lot into this movie.
they did, they really did, but it didn't feel like it was too much. There was
Okay.
enough ups and downs. There was enough ebbs and flows between the action and the dialogue and the drama and suspense that they build in. That it, I mean, the movie was, what was it? It's just under 2 hours long. So I mean, it's a fairly long movie at 2 hours, and so but it doesn't feel like it when you get done. You're like, wow, that was 2 hours. That was really quick. It felt right. Um,
Sweet. I hate it when they pack too much into a movie and you're like, well, that was unnecessary. But if they do it well, I'm looking forward to
yeah,
watching that.
yeah. I thought it was great. It did a really good job. I highly recommend it. If you're a fan of Spider-Man, you should check it out. And plus, it's got Liv Schreiber and Nicolas Cage in it. So
Yeah, what else do you need?
yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of people in this. Haley Steinfeld. Yeah, lots of voices in here. So
Haley Steinfeld was the one from Bumblebee, correct?
yes, yes, it is.
All right.
And
Hey,
True
I
Grit.
guessed something right.
Yeah. So yes, sir. And this is a Disney movie that is not Disney animated or Pixar animated. So this is a Marvel animated movie that is not done in a Disney style or a Pixar style. This is a style all of themselves, and I thought it was great. So there you go.
So, if you get a chance, see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
That's right.
And I will when I get a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's out on digital now, so if you want to rent it, if you want to spend money and rent it, it's worth the rent. Um, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's. I don't know. I haven't seen it when the Netflix. If it will be on Netflix, I don't know. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Netflix. Is it? No, not on Netflix yet. It doesn't have a
I say
date
I haven't
to.
seen it on there.
Yeah, doesn't have a date for it yet, but it's actually still out in theaters too. So that's kind of if you want to go see it in the theater, you guys can still see it in the theater. It's still out there. So yes, yes. Yeah, and I don't know that this will end up on Netflix. I don't know how the deals work with Disney and Marvel yet. With the new service, Disney's new service is supposed to be coming out this year. So
Yeah, but right now every Marvel thing is on Netflix that is out, so
yeah,
I'm hoping this will squeak in as well.
it'd be nice. It's really good, worth the watch. So, alrighty. You got anything else you want to throw out there, or you want to just wrap this up?
Just one quick thing.
Sure.
If
Oh yeah.
you're, of course, I would never do this, but if you're at work and you're looking for a distraction, or if you're at home and you got some time to kill, go to geoguessr.com. So it's
Yeah.
geoguess with the letter R at the end.com. And what it is a website that drops you in like on a Google Street View, and then it has a little map off to the side, and you have to figure out where in the hell the world this is.
Yeah.
You can go up and down the street, but the license plates are all fuzzed out, and any information that would just directly tell you where they are is all blurred out. So it's addicting as hell.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I played one. I played if you just come on and you don't sign up, you play like this 5 places um, session, I guess you could call it. So it'll pick a place. You got to figure out what it is. You pick a place on the map. It tells you how far you were from the actual place. If you're pretty close, you get a lot of points. If you're pretty far, you get no points.
Yeah.
And then after the 5 locations, it'll tell you what your total points were. I got lucky on one of my locations. The license plates were blurred out, but I could tell by the color and the shape of the background of the license plate it was a Utah plate.
Oh yeah.
So I was able to go, well, judging by the look of the terrain, and I know it's in Utah, I'll pick this spot right here. It was only 100 miles off. So I felt pretty good about
Yeah,
that.
that's impressive.
And then
Yeah.
one, I was convinced it was Ireland. And I picked it and it was New Zealand. And of course I got no points for that one.
Yeah, that happened to me a lot. I would pick places and I would just be like, well, the other thing is if I have no idea and I'm just guessing, I don't zoom in. So like I keep the world map that you're trying to put the pin on, I keep it zoomed out as far as it goes. And like, yeah, so like right now I just did one and I guessed Australia and it was actually Poland.
Yeah, they're so similar. I had
I,
one where it put me like on top of I won't say a mountain, but a small mountain.
yeah.
And there was no road. I couldn't like move around. All I could do was zoom in and out or turn in a 360, but I couldn't move from that spot.
Oh wow.
It's like I have no freaking idea where this is, but it kind of looked like Hawaii, so I picked Hawaii, but it was in someplace in Chile. So
Yeah.
I think I got 8 points for
Well, yeah,
that.
some of these I'm not good at this game. I enjoy it, but I am not good at it because I look at some of the stuff and
Oh, I'm not good at it either.
I'm like
One of them it
this.
put me on the snow-covered road, and there was no signage. I I went like down this road for miles and miles and miles, and it's like there's no signs. There's nothing out here. I couldn't. It's like it's a snow-covered road with tall pine trees. I don't know where I am.
Yeah.
And then I did finally find. I went a long way and finally came across a sign that was not in English. It's like I'm gonna have to guess what this language is. I don't know, and I
Yeah.
can't remember where that ended up being. But I was it was in Norway,
Yeah, okay.
and I thought it was Iceland because
I mean,
you know
that's at least close. Yeah. No, I picked one I
because of the
saw.
funky text. It had
Yeah.
the O's with the 2 dots above, and the names that were like 6 miles long. It's like that's got to be Iceland. It was Norway.
No, I had one that the sign, I ran across a sign and it was in English and I'm like, "Oh, this has got to be in the United States." Like this looks like it might be California-ish area, like uh, kind of like base of the Sierra Nevadas type thing. Nope, it was Australia. Like, man, like I can't even
I
buy a
guess they
break.
do speak English there, huh?
Yeah, well, I
Yeah, the
mean, I
one I
know
thought was in
that.
Ireland,
Ugh.
and people who actually know probably laugh at me, but all the road signs were in English, but of course the symbology was different than it is here in America. And you could tell by the pavement striping that they drove on the left-hand side of the road.
Ah,
And I'm like, I don't know. It just feels like Ireland. It had the big green rolling hills and all this other stuff. I don't know if they drive on the left-hand side of the road in Ireland or not. I know they do
they
in
do.
England.
They do. I'm pretty sure
So
they
I
do.
assumed. No, I was wrong.
Yeah.
It
No,
was New Zealand.
yeah, this game, I forgot you had mentioned you'd wanted to talk about this one because yeah, this thing is awesome. Like I love doing this thing. I love playing this. I had run across this before. It was several years ago, I think, even. But uh yeah, it was just kind of one of those like I don't even know how I ran across it. Like by accident, the Google thing. Run across something by accident. And um yeah, I'm terrible at it. I don't get hardly
Oh
any
yeah, I'm absolutely
points.
horrible at it, but
Uh,
I felt good I knew Utah, but it
yeah,
was only because I lived there and I recognized the plate. It's like, oh yeah, I know where this is, but I didn't know where the town was or anything like that. It's like this is crazy.
yeah. So, perfect example here is I have played 5 rounds and I've only gotten one of them close enough to get points.
How many
So,
points?
296.
So you were still pretty far away.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
because when I
I'm
was like 100 and some miles away, I got like 4,000 and some points.
Yeah, no, I'm still like half the continent away. Oh, this one was my best one so far. And it was only because it was in the United States and it looked like ski slopes, so I went Colorado, but it is actually in California. So I was only 793 miles from the right spot. So I got
And how many points was that?
2,124.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, super
Yeah.
fun.
So
And
you're
it's
already listening to us geek out on it.
yeah,
Go to geoguessr.com. It's a rabbit hole. You'll be
yeah.
there a while.
And I think my favorite part of it is when you get done with the 5 rounds, it shows you all 5 of them where you picked and where it actually was. So it's
Yeah.
great to
Yeah.
see the lines on like how far they go. And like I have a real hard time of like I look at something and I'll be like, oh, I this looks a lot like this area of the United States. Yeah, not in the United States. You know, they're
Yeah.
like,
You got to
oh,
find a street sign or something so you can at least see what language it's in.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
It's crazy. It's fun, though. It's a good time.
and if you guys don't want to remember what that is, that's geoguessr.com. Uh, you can go check the show notes in the YouTube video. That link is right in there. You can click on that and go play,
There
and it's
you
fun.
go.
Yeah,
There it
we can
is.
even we can start having a competition. We'll have a Geekvice competition on who can get the highest score. How about that?
Oh, man.
That'd be fun.
I like it. Yeah. I just got to make sure I don't do it at work.
Just do it at lunch. Like when you need a lunch break, you're eating your lunch and you just need to turn the brain off and not do work stuff. Give it a shot. It'll be fun. I'm actually thinking about I want to do it with the whole family and put it up on the big screen TV and see if we can get have people guess on where it's at. That'd
Yeah,
be a
I
lot
think
of
it'd be a
fun.
good party game.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. So. All right, everybody, that's where we're going to put a wrap in here. We have gone on long enough. We've had a lot of long episodes. This one is not quite as long as the last couple, so that's good. All right, everybody, go check out our blog at geekvice.blogspot.com. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/geekvice. You can follow us on Twitter. You follow that man over there at Kip Killigan. You can follow me at Geekvice. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Couple easy ways to do it. One, search for Kip Morph on YouTube. It'll take you right to us. Or go to our Facebook page. Click on the link on the left-hand side for YouTube, and it'll take you right to all of our stuff. You can you can subscribe and get notifications for when we go live and when new videos get posted on YouTube for the Geekvice gaming stuff. So go check that stuff out. And of course, as always, you can reach us by email at geekvice@gmail.com. If you do this GeoGuessr website and you get a high score, send us a screenshot of a really high score, and maybe we'll have no, not maybe. We will have a prize for somebody next week who sends us the highest score. So how about that? Boom. Go check it out. I'm making it up on the fly. We'll have a gift. We'll have a prize. I have stuff to give away. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to our ramblings, and we will see you next time.
Later.
This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.